There.
And we're live. Hi. This is Carol Mikowski, and I am with the Empowered Dreams hangout here with some of my colleagues, as you can see below. And every week we get together, we have a hangout, and for the first half hour we do some sort of training or discussion, and then we close the doors after the first half hour, and we have a private mastermind group and talk amongst ourselves and work on whatever it is that we need to work on. So in the meantime, I'd like to welcome anybody who's with us from the public. Feel free to leave any comments, and if you have any questions, put them in the comments. And also, if you have any suggestions about something that you'd like to hear about in the future, put it in, and we'll see what we can do to accommodate you. And let me get started. Today, we're going to be talking about what's next for boomers and the X generation. Excuse me. I don't know how long this is going to last because I don't know how long my voice is going to hold out, but let's see. Okay, as I've revealed before, I am a social worker who has retired last year. And in school, I majored in sociology, which is actually different from social work, although people sometimes confuse the two. And I'm approaching this topic somewhat from a sociological point of view. And you're saying, what the hell is that all about? Well, this isn't sociology class. Well, the reason is I came across, after reading a few articles, I'm preparing to write a large blog about it, I came across what to me was some interesting information about boomers and X generation people in regard to the economic situation and the retirement situation. And my thinking is that it does relate to online business in terms of if anyone who's in business online pays attention to this information, they can certainly utilize it in terms of reaching out to the folks that I'm going to be talking about and possibly having solutions for them. And at the same time, if there's anyone who's listening in who is in either the boomers or the X generation, you might be interested in what we have to offer. So it's kind of a melding of the two, if you will. Now, the reason I call this retirement or metamorphosis is I found out that I really don't like the word retirement, because to me it means pulling back and withdrawing. I don't find retirement that way. I find it a change. I was going to use the word transition, but in some circles that means dying, so I didn't want to use that one either. And I was going to use transformation, which, yeah, that kind of tells a story. But I like metamorphosis because it insinuates that there's a growth, not only a change, but excuse me, a growth that comes out of that. Excuse me just a minute. That comes out of that change. Now, let me just define the terms here very quickly. There's about 75 million boomers and about 66 million Generation X people. The boomers presently are from age 51 to 68. I'm sorry, hold on.
You're muted. You're muted.
Let's see if we can keep going here. The boomers are from age 51 to 68. And the Generation X are from age 35 to 51. Now, what I was looking at was how are these people preparing for the future? That's what was talked about in a lot of what I was looking at. And in terms of the future, I'm talking about, you know, are they going to be retiring later in life? Are they going to be working on for years and years? You know, what are their thoughts about the future? Most of our parents worked a job, had a pension that they fed into, and then Social Security kicked in. And when they reached age 65, I think it was in those days, they retired from their jobs and they drew on their pensions and the Social Security. And most of them had their houses paid off at that point. And they were able to retire in a comfortable standard of living. A lot has changed since then, an awful lot. And actually, I found a lot of conflictual information in what I was reading. So, but basically, I'm going to talk in terms of generalities for that information. For that reason, I can't pinpoint it to exactly what is truth in terms of numbers and percentages. But here's where I'm going with this. I'm so sorry, I can't help myself here. A lot of changes happened, and a lot of it has been influenced by this Great Recession that hit our country and the world as well. What was that, about 7, 8 years ago? And they say, the readings say that the boomers probably got affected the most because they don't have a lot of years left to work in order to recuperate. So, in terms of their future, in terms of thinking about retirement, a lot of boomers are in a position where they can retire. They have planned for it. They've invested their money wisely. Their homes are close to being paid off, and they will be able to retire comfortably. A lot will be able to retire, but they'll have to cut back on their standard of living because their income after retirement will not be as much because thanks to the Great Recession, a lot of people have lost some money from their 401k. A lot of 401ks were totally decimated. And a lot of people also will need to continue to work. And currently, about 1/3 of the men between the ages of over the age of 65 are currently working, and about 1/4 of the women are still in the employment market, even though they are past retirement years. Now, this is something that was pretty much unheard of when I was growing up. I don't know of anybody who was working in their late 60s, and yet it seems to be rather commonplace now. And there's also a conflict here because a lot of the jobs, even though the people need to work, they need the money, they can't because a lot of jobs are forcing people into retirement for a few different reasons. Number one, ageism comes into effect. And also, it's also part of ageism, and it's also, I guess, part of reality. The companies don't want to, they consider the older folks high risk because the insurance costs are so high because they fear that they have more medical problems than the younger folks. Now, at the same time, you say, well, why did these folks plan more for retirement? Well, number one, the generation, the boomers, got hit with huge educational bills for their kids who went to college, and a lot of them have had to take out second mortgages or home equity loans or whatever on their homes in order to pay for this education. So their homes are not paid off. And at the same time, the value of the homes has diminished a lot since the recession, and some of them might even be so-called underwater, where they owe more on their house than what the value of the house actually is. So that's one thing. They don't have that nest egg where they could sell their home and take some of that money and and use it for their retirement. That's not possible. Secondly, this is the first, excuse me, the first generation. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cough again.
I feel bad for Carol, but I have a cough drop in my mouth also because I'm afraid. Yesterday I was trying to do a video, and the minute I start to talk past a certain point, I start doing what she's doing here. So we thought this was under control today.
Okay, back. Let's try it again.
Yes, she is.
Thanks. This is the first generation that was handed credit cards to the extent that exists now in the country. So, not having any history to go by or any education regarding credit, a lot of boomers are quite heavily in debt thanks to credit cards. And thirdly, if you look at savings, I remember when I was very young, and for my parents as well, there were savings accounts that yielded, a decent percentage of interest. But today you almost have to pay the bank to hold your money for you. So savings per se is not going to help you any. Investments, yeah, some people invested wisely, some people were fortunate with their investments. Other people lost their investments again through the Great Recession that we had. So I'm sorry, I am going to cut this kind of short because my throat, I know it's not going to hang out. So where am I going with all this? The boomers and Generation X people, well, let me just say a little bit about the Generation X people. They've been in the work market for a couple of decades now, and they have a long ways to go, especially if statistics hold out that they're not going to be able to retire at 65. They're going to go into 70 probably at least before they can look at any kind of retirement. And they're kind of the sandwich generation because they still have younger kids that they're taking care of and raising, and that is very expensive. And they also have older parents who are in need of caretaking. So they're stuck in between, and they've got a lot of responsibility on both ends, not only personal responsibility, but financial responsibilities. So a lot of them might be looking at, I don't know if I can do this for another 20, 30 years, however many years they have left in the workforce, and might be looking for something else. So one thing that I pulled out of this that really impacted me, because I never thought of it before, is that there's very little planning, both in the government and in the private world, in terms of the boomers, and I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. Yeah, the government knows that boomers are a draw on society and more medical needs and high Medicare costs, et cetera, et cetera. But very few people are looking at the advantages, the opportunities that are available from the boomers in terms of programs that can be created where whoever's going to be doing the creation of these programs could earn some money from the boomers who have certain needs. And that's where I put us as entrepreneurs. I'm sorry, one more time. Okay. We can reach out to these boomers and also the X generation who might be sick and tired of working, and we can educate these folks and let them know that there are alternatives and there are options, so that they don't have to worry so much about being forced into retirement, about having to work in their later years when physically they don't feel that they're up to it, or with the X generation that emotionally and mentally they just don't want to anymore. They're sick and tired of it. So there's a huge opportunity there, many opportunities actually, if we take the time to look at them and examine them and be creative about what we can do to meet these folks' needs. And I'm sorry, on that point, I'm just going to cut it off because there's no sense trying anymore. And I'll just open it up and see if either of my teammates here has anything that they'd like to offer.
Well, I'm Allie on the other end of the house here. I feel sorry. This is what happened to me yesterday, Carol. I was doing a video and I went into a coughing fit. So we thought we came back from Vegas and got hit with this, and we thought it was gone. It's almost gone. It's on its way. But I never realized that. You're right. Boomers is that we're the first generation that got those credit cards. Like, they would just show up in the mail. And it was a real credit card. Now they send the fake ones, but then they sent the real one. Here's your credit card. Just sign this little paper. So I never realized that. Not all boomers are retired yet either. Boomers, your youngest boomers are 51 this year. So, those at 51 years old, first of all, again, that idea of looking ahead, and God knows, they keep trying to up that age. It's going to be 70 or 72 before they freaking let you retire. And you're thinking, damn, some of you people are in jobs that you don't really want to be in anymore. You never really wanted to be in the first place. You followed the rules. And that's where we got hit. We followed the rules, and it absolutely fell apart on us. And then I guess Generation X realized their oldest member is 50. So they were raised the same way. It wasn't, that different there. It's the biggest demographic there is, like you were saying, boomers are. And so you're right, when you're looking at offering services to people, entrepreneurs really ought to be looking in that area, And then that other end of online business, I mean, that's what we're doing. And actually, all of us here today are boomers in different varying degrees of it and where we are, And we're doing business online because it's not rocket science. Let me put it that way. It's not like there's no skills to learn. There are skills to learn, but it's not rocket science. So even for people who have not been raised with computers, and we had to learn them, like the kids today are being raised with computers, it's a way to, I like what you were saying before, it's a way not just to earn income, but to also, I don't know, there's an expansion that goes on, and like I said, we just came back from Vegas because we have an online business, and we were at an event, and my God, we met so many people, and we do every 3 months we go. So it's not like, oh, you're closed in. No, quite the opposite. We go all over, and we meet people from all over as we meet people here. So the opportunity there for people that are in that Generation X or in those early boomers that are saying, I want to really make sure I can be able to retire, to start an online business and be able to do it while you're still working. And there's a possibility, okay, that you could replace your job and retire early. We can't guarantee income. EmpowerNetwork.com/income if you want to see what so-called average incomes are. But you get to decide whether you're average or not. So to me, it's like, I think some boomers have a tendency to think I can't do that stuff, online. And here we are. All three of us sitting here today are boomers. Here we are, and we're showing, and different levels of boomers, and we can do this stuff. So that's my 2 cents here. Without coughing.
Yeah, I have to apologize. I neglected to introduce the two of you. Of course, that's Ellie, who just spoke. She's my spouse. She's at the other end of the house here, and she's my business partner. And Catherine, you want to come out and introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm. Can you hear me? I'm
Yeah.
Catherine, and I live in California, way far away from Ellie and Carol at the other end.
About
And
3,000 miles.
yes, and I'm a baby boomer too. So as you said, there was three of us, and I was reading somewhere that most of the baby boomers are not prepared to retire. They don't have saved enough money, and I think that somebody should like teach people when they're younger to do a home business, so when they get up to that age, they won't have to. They can do it while they're working, and so that would be a good service or a good some kind of help that you get somebody could give some people to teach them how to do online business. So, but yes, but a lot of baby boomers aren't ready to retire. I mean, they don't have enough money saved, and then they have to still work till like 67. I think is the age now, more normal age that people work. So it'll probably be later. I mean, longer later, but so
Yeah, and
that's
I
my.
went to Walmart, and so many of the cashiers, okay, they're definitely retired.
Mhm.
And they're a cashier. And I promise you, I don't believe it's because they're like, oh, I just want to go work as a cashier in Walmart. Or in grocery stores, you'll see that too.
Mhm.
They either have the teenagers or the senior citizen.
Right.
Mm.
Mhm.
Because they can pay a teenager
Mhm.
less money and they can pay a senior citizen less money too. See, they can get away with that, real minimum wage
Mhm.
in there, and it stinks that the senior citizen's got to go be a cashier.
Right. Yeah.
What's wrong with that picture?
They should be able to retire and do what they want to do. But some people don't want to. They don't like the word retire because it feels like they're going to play golf and they're like put to pasture. You know the word. There it is. The word again. It should be
You
like
brought
second.
up you brought up two great points there, Catherine. One of them is just that. Some of the people choose to continue to work, because they want the social aspects of it.
Yes.
And what greater way to have a social connection, a huge social connection, than with network marketing, either
Right.
offline or online. Because online, we have these every 3 months, these events, and you're surrounded by 1,000 people at least, if not more. So yeah, there's tremendous social opportunities there. Right now, about half the people, oh, I said that already, I'm sorry. By the year 2030, that's 15 years from now, 20% of the population will be over 65. So again, opportunity. And I think I couldn't agree with you more, Catherine. I think that the schools, part of our education should be about how to manage money, even starting in the grade schools, how to invest, putting kids, not, put pennies in the piggy bank anymore, no, but how to invest in real estate or in the stock market or what have you, start teaching them that kind of mentality. And also that there are alternatives to getting a job. And the senior citizen centers ought to be doing this kind of thing with people. And there's another fantastic opportunity that's totally being overlooked, in my opinion. The boomers could be what's the word I want? Oriented to the idea of an option for themselves. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up. And yeah, Ellie, you brought out some great points there too. So I thank you both for filling in there. Anything else? If not, I guess we can close it up and call it a day.
I think we're good because I'm afraid we'll start coughing.
Yeah, right, exactly. So think about it, folks. Think about what opportunities there might be where you could jump in and meet the needs of this Generation X and the boomers, and help them along and help yourself along at the same time. Anybody who's viewing here who came in through somebody else and is interested in finding out more, get back in touch with the person who sent you here. If nobody did and you just happened to cross the Hangout, by all means click the link below and get in touch with us, and we will talk to you, see what's going on, see if you have any interest in coming aboard and joining us. We'd love to have you. With that said, I just see Chris jumped on, and Chris, we're jumping off, but we're going to close the doors and get together amongst ourselves. So we'll see you there. And I am going to close off the live broadcast now. Bye, folks. We'll see you next week. Somebody else who can actually talk and not go into coughing fits will be running the hangout next week, hopefully. So we'll see you then. Bye-bye.